So summer is basically knocking on the door, and I don't know about you, but I want to be planning trips, thinking about where I'm going, what I'm doing, not sitting there in the back of my mind wondering, can I actually afford this? And I've had summers like that before, where you're trying to enjoy yourself, but there's this low-level stress about money that just follows you around. I didn't want that to be this year. So I've been getting a lot more intentional about actually organizing my finances. Monarch is the personal finance app that tracks everything: accounts, investments, savings goals, and spending. Get your first year of Monarch for half off, just $50 with promo code WifeOfCrime. I love that Monarch keeps an eye on everything, so I don't have to. I had one of those moments where I realized my spending in a couple categories had slowly crept up without me even realizing it. So it really feels like you have a financial advisor right in your pocket. The weekly recap will flag things before they become a problem, and the visual breakdown of where your money is going each month is humbling, but in a good way. So use code WifeOfCrime at monarch.com to get your first year half off. That's just $50. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code WifeOfCrime.
Your team is global. Your payment should be too. Pay straight from your existing bank account or debit card. No new wallet, no complicated setup. Verify your business once, and you're set. Paying your global team shouldn't feel like a job. That's Remitly Business. Sign up at remitly.com/small business month. Remitly Incorporated is licensed as a money transmitter by the New York State Department of Financial Services and in Puerto Rico TM-143, a foreign transmittal agency in Massachusetts and a currency transmitter in Rhode Island. NMLS number 1028236.
This podcast is an unscripted, unedited conversation about true crime. We take the cases very seriously, but I don't take myself seriously at all, and neither should you. Welcome to Wife of Crime.
So, Russ, when you're in a relationship with someone, you think you know everything about them. You've shared your deepest and darkest secrets, or at least that's what we think. Because sometimes the real monsters aren't lurking in the shadows. They're actually walking among us. And imagine if one of those monsters turned out to be your fiancé. This is the case of the Craigslist Killer. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Wife of Crime, a true crime podcast where I tell my husband, Russ, true crime stories and he reacts to them.
What's up, folks? It's your boy Russ, a.k.a. However, a.k.a. the Birdman, a.k.a. Still Russ.
However.
Well, I was listening to Biggie, and when he said, however, I stayed Coogee down to the socks.
Yes.
Like, just in case you didn't know how fly I am.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I got all this. However, I dress fly.
You do. And you have a NYX Coogee hoodie.
I did just buy that. It was the most expensive piece of clothing I've ever purchased, even more than a coat. And I may have been under the influence, and someone may have put a battery in my back to buy it too, because I wasn't going to do it.
Here's the thing about me and Russ. When we're both under the influence, if he says, you know, I really want XYZ, whatever it is, I'm the wrong person.
Yeah.
I'm not bringing you back down to earth. I'm 100% telling you, you deserve it. Yep. You deserve it, King. Buy what you want. I'm 100% going to encourage horrendous, irresponsible spending. That's just who I am. And Russ,
I have to stop her,
is really happy in the moment. But then the next day, he's like, why'd you tell me I should buy that? And it's like, because you only live once. Enjoy your life.
Well, that is true. But and then I go and yell at you for all these Amazon purchases.
Exactly. The roles aren't reversed.
Yes, but it's so much different because I don't get mad at you for spending money. I'm like, stop buying yourself crap. Go buy yourself some quality shit. It's way different. Like, I'm like just stupid shit you saw on TikTok. You want some clothes? Go buy yourself some nice clothes. You don't have to someone influence you to buy something they drop ship that they paid $1 for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, go buy yourself some nice stuff.
Well, we are probably going to go see the Knicks play in Philly next week.
True.
Because they are in the playoffs. So you have an opportunity to possibly wear this Knicks Coogee hoodie.
I have to.
You have to. You absolutely do. So the other day I shared on on Instagram on our story, I just shared like the post, like the thumbnail of the post where it said a gangster who was dressed like a baby.
Yeah, I saw that someone dresses up like a baby and kills people in a stroller.
So
you know what it reminded me of the first thing I thought of when I heard that?
What?
The baby from Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Oh yeah, that's such a good one.
That's
oh my God, that's such a good one. So in April, like a couple weeks ago, this guy who's known on the street as Lil Mino, he got 78 years behind bars because he's from Chicago. He's part of a gang in Chicago. And his MO would be that he'd dress up like a baby with a pacifier and everything. They put him in a stroller and he has a gun underneath of his blanket and they do drive-bys.
Imagine
someone is pushing him in the stroller and they do drive-bys and kill other gang members.
Yeah, so the worst part about that is you're going to go off into eternity if you still have consciousness. Like, what the fuck just happened? Did I get killed by a baby? That's the last thing you see is wild.
You go up to heaven and you're like, what?
And why did the baby have a mustache?
So apparently he's 4'10". Okay.
That's not even that little. I mean, it's small, but it's
small.
not baby carriage small.
Well, he fit in a baby carriage. Maybe he like sat on his heels or something, you know, like.
How aren't there? Yeah. Why aren't there videos of this?
Why aren't there videos?
I hope they were dumb criminals that like videoed, like, haha, we got them.
I wish there were videos, but no, I haven't found any videos. But Lil Mino, he is going to jail now, and he'll be in jail for the next 78 years.
Do they separate the little people from the bigger people? Because that could be a problem for him.
It could be a problem for him, but I don't know. I mean,
maybe the closest thing to the size of a woman to these men.
I don't know, but maybe he's a regular dude, but he's 4'10". So he, but the whole image, the whole Who Framed Roger Rabbit thing cracks me up.
Surprise!
And I just imagine him like smoking a cigar. Then, oh my God,
cigars, cigarettes. Remember that?
Yeah. So funny. So I had to give context to that post because I posted it on our story, and so many people messaged and were like, I need more answers. I need more to this. I need answers to this. Because it was all I posted was the actual arrest, his mugshot. I posted his mugshot.
Did he have a pacifier?
No.
Now, someone has to interview him.
I know. We got to
find out
someone
in the
more.
podcast. Where we might be the people for that job.
We might, yes.
Yeah.
So if you're in the Chicago area and you know Lil Mino, hook us up.
Tell him, hit me up.
We'll do a jail interview.
I'll put some money on his books.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a way to get him. Yeah, we'll put money on his books.
I'll put money on his books. Tell him it ain't no big deal.
So the David case is kind of exploding now because the prosecution released their case.
Yeah, he was finally arrested. That's the most annoying part.
Mm-hmm.
Where was the question?
No, I think what it was is they were building their case over the course of all this time. They wanted to make sure that they had a rock solid case.
Yeah, but in America, you're guilty until proven innocent. So normally they put you in jail and then solidify everything.
Yeah, they normally do. Well.
And I don't even know if he's a celebrity because I don't know him. Maybe a couple of people here do, but anyway, on this podcast, it's been like this for a long time. Hashtag fuck Dave.
Yeah. Well, I've been hearing all this fragmented information. So we're elder millennials. We have a listener base that ranges ages like really young.
Man, we got kids to old folks.
To older people. Exactly. And I feel like there are a lot of people who keep asking us to cover this case. And we've been talking about it here and there for like the last year because we started talking about it on a Start Spreading the News episode a long time ago. And I'm getting all this fragmented information. So I think we're going to devote an entire episode. I'm going to deep dive the case. I'm going to deep dive who David is. Because honestly, I don't know who he is. I don't know nothing about his music. I don't know nothing about streaming. And from everything I've seen about him, he's a freaking herb. Bro.
Yeah.
He's very pretentious and wants to be this like artsy fartsy dude. And he's a cornball.
And he's a fucking child molesting killer.
Yeah.
He's a child molesting piece of shit.
So I think I want to devote a whole episode to it. So that's my plan.
For you people that don't know, I guess we didn't say it right in the beginning, but 14-year-old's body was found in his Tesla in a like storage facility for his car or something.
No,
right?
in an impound.
In an impound, yeah. So that's what I was thinking, like where they keep all the cars.
Yeah, so they found her body in the front trunk
of his car,
of his Tesla, and she was dismembered. And so that's what's going on. But he is like this music artist who was about to blow up, apparently.
Listen, guys, what I will not do and what you should not do is be curious about his music and go see how it sounds. Fuck him. Don't give him one motherfucking stream.
Yeah.
I will not. So Jess might, because she's curious, but you know what that does to the cat.
Well, he can't even sing good because I already did listen to one of his songs because I wanted to see what he sounded like. He's not even a good singer.
Probably sounds like a bitch.
Anyway, so I'm planning to do an entire episode on this. I'm going to deep dive it. And you know my deep dives go deep. Speaking of deep dives, we covered the case of Robert Wone last time. And even after our second part, which was a 2-hour conversation about incredible detail. Okay, we went so hard. I went so deep into this. We still have a lot of questions. And so I'm thinking about taking a lot of the questions that I've gotten, compiling them, and answering some of the questions, or at least discussing the questions that you guys have, because you guys still have so many questions about this case. And I'm still so obsessed with it. So I think we're going to definitely release a listener question episode about the Robert Wone case. So if you do have more questions after listening to our episodes on it, send me a message, either DM me on Instagram or Patreon, or comment on the episode, and I'm going to compile all of them, and then we can discuss it.
Man, you guys are nosy. Because she gave so many details, you got more questions than that. We spoke about it for about 4 hours. I'm good. I know more than I thought I ever would.
Well, you can be part of that conversation, or it can just be me doing it.
I mean, I guess I'll hang out. But what are we going to learn now? Like what his favorite foods were and his social security number, his credit score? Like what is left?
Listen, you're dealing with a lot of women, okay? This is how women are. We want to know everything.
Yeah, you're doing too much.
So that'll be coming up soon.
All right, guys. So every week I do, what do I do? Review of the week.
Mm-hmm.
So this one is from Nurse I Am 75. So she was probably born in 75, because I figure most nurses are retired by 75. All right, so it's 5 stars for sure. 5 stars. I discovered this podcast late March 2026, but I've been binging since then. I love the banter, and you guys keep me laughing out loud. I usually can agree with both of you, but today, I'm coming for you, Russ. I've always been #vote for Russ, but today I listened to an episode and Russ was making fun of nurses. So I had to speak up. Watch yourself. Don't get beside yourself. There's a lot of exclamation points here. Go ahead, though. I still laughed. #vote for Russ. #I'm Wheezy too. #cheers.
Well, it is Nurses Week.
So, and how did we know she was a nurse? And how do you know anyone is a nurse in this world? They will tell you. So point proven again. And you know what's funny though? Like, so since she's new, the further you go back, there's going to be a lot more making fun of nurses.
There is. I mean, he's married to a nurse. Russ loves to roast people, especially me. He loves roasting me about everything. He puts all my shit out there on the internet, my farts. He makes fun of me for my career. He makes fun of me for everything.
No, I mean, I appreciate nurses, but it's low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
You guys are easy to pick on.
Yeah. We make it easy because nurses, we're very passionate about what we do.
You guys are like Rodney Dangerfield. No one appreciates us. And everyone says, thank you. Like, what the do you want?
Well, it is Nurses Week.
You get your halves of slices of pizza for lunch when they tell you they appreciate you at work.
Yep. And yesterday I got my good old cold Chinese food that they catered. It was great.
Yep. And nothing's better than cold Chinese food.
Nothing's better than that. All right. Well, we right now on Patreon are covering Homicide New York Season 2. We just dropped episode 2. We're about to do episode 3. And there's 5 episodes in the season, so you're getting all 5. We're going to cover all 5 episodes from Homicide New York. Russ is really into these because being a New Yorker, he gives a lot of insight. So we're doing all 5 episodes of Homicide New York Season 2 if you guys are interested. And Russ has the patron shout-outs.
All right, so this week's joiners are Kayla, Hara, Abby, Savannah, Sierra, Morgan, Cassandra, Kelby, Samantha, Jennifer, Troy, Kalesia, Haley, Tanisha, Jay, Dr. Smiley. Might be a dentist. Don't smile too much. It gives you wrinkles, I hear. Ashlyn, Jade, Kristen, Amanda, Maureen, Taylor, Otilia, and Breezy. So thank you guys very much. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers,
thank
guys.
You so much. We love you guys. If you're interested, go join the Patreon for all of our True Crime and Chill episodes. Okay. So back in the early 2000s, Craigslist felt like the internet's giant community bulletin board. People used it for everything. Apartments, furniture, jobs, cars, concert tickets, missed connections. You could find a job, furnish an entire apartment, meet a date, find a roommate, or completely reinvent your life through a few anonymous posts on Craigslist. And because it all felt so ordinary, people rarely stopped to think about the kinds of secret lives quietly unfolding behind those email addresses and ads. For some people, Craigslist became a way to make extra money. For others, it became a way to cheat, hide, or become someone else entirely for a few hours at a time. I definitely got multiple jobs on Craigslist.
Oh, me too. That's where you find like bartending jobs pretty easy. I bought cars there.
Yeah,
I read the missed encounters because they're interesting. So
yeah.
Like, I saw you on the train and we locked eyes and like you got off here, you were wearing this. Like it was interesting. I found it interesting.
I read the missed encounters too. That was really interesting.
And I'm not nosy. I guess that's nosy.
That is nosy.
I don't think it's nosy because I don't know who they are. I just find to me, it's not nosy unless it's about a particular person.
Interesting.
Because this is just like general, like, oh, well, that's like a thing that happens.
That sounds like a loophole.
Well, it's the difference between being nosy and curious. Nosy is like you're digging too far. Like, why do you even need that information? Curious is like, oh, like I wonder what type of bird that is.
Were you looking on the missed connections or missed encounters because you thought maybe someone wrote one about you?
No. What the hell?
In 2009, for one man living in Boston, Craigslist became something much darker. Because while his fiancée was planning a wedding and building a future with him, Phillip Markoff was secretly using the site to meet women behind closed hotel room doors. This is the case of the Craigslist Killer. Are you ready?
Yes.
It was Sunday, April 19th, 2009, and Megan McAllister thought she was going on a fun weekend trip with her fiancé. They were driving down I-95 towards Connecticut, supposedly headed to Foxwoods Casino.
Nice.
There were bags in the car, a wedding only months away, and an entire future Megan fully believed was sitting right in front of her. Her fiancé, 23-year-old Phillip Markoff, looked like the kind of man people trusted immediately. He was tall, blonde, very intelligent, soft-spoken, a second-year medical student at Boston University who had graduated early from SUNY Albany with honors.
Boston sucks.
The kind of guy parents bragged about. The kind of guy nobody looks twice at because nothing about him felt alarming. And Megan thought she knew him. He was her fiancé. She thought she knew everything.
And these are the ones you got to watch out for. Just the average white dudes are just killing. We're taking L's here, white dudes. Every time something happens, I'm like, God damn it, I know who did that. Except for one recently. We weren't the only crazies. I forgot which one.
Earlier that day, investigators had set up surveillance outside of Phillip's apartment building in Quincy, Massachusetts, after tracing a series of violent crimes back to the area. When Phillip came out of the building with Megan beside him, detectives watched carefully. To anyone else, they looked like a completely normal couple, heading out of town for the weekend. Megan leaned into him affectionately as they walked. They got into the car and they drove off. Then suddenly, the entire illusion Megan had about the love of her life shattered. Police cars surrounded them on the highway. Megan immediately started asking questions. What was happening? Why were they being stopped? Where were they being taken? So she was really confused, scared, completely blindsided by whatever was unfolding around her. Phillip, however, reacted very differently. He stayed quiet. And that silence becomes one of the most unsettling parts of this story because there are people who panic when their world collapses. People who cry, deny, scream, explain.
Go to sleep.
But according to investigators, Phillip barely said much of anything at all. Police told the couple that they had a warrant for the vehicle and needed to bring them back to Boston. Megan still had no idea that the man she was planning to marry was about to be accused of kidnapping, armed robbery, and murder. She didn't know about the women in hotel rooms, the zip ties, the duct tape, the Craigslist ads, the surveillance footage, the burner phones, the hidden trophies. And that's what makes this case feel so deeply unsettling even now, because people like to believe monsters are obvious, that there's some visible darkness that separates dangerous people from everyone else. But sometimes the scariest people are the ones who understand exactly how to blend in, the ones who perform normalcy so well that nobody thinks to question them. By the time Phillip Markoff was arrested, police had already spent days trying to identify a man who seemed to move through the city effortlessly. At first, all they really had were fragments, surveillance images from luxury hotels, a tall blonde man casually walking through lobbies with a BlackBerry in his hand and a Yankee hat pulled low over his face. Women attacked behind closed doors. Fingerprints with no match in the system. A suspect who didn't seem nervous about cameras, witnesses, or leaving evidence behind. And every time investigators started getting close, he already seemed to be moving on. Another hotel, another woman, another identity waiting to slip quietly back into plain sight. But to understand how a promising medical student with a fiancé ended up at the center of one of the most infamous manhunts in Boston, we have to go back to 10 days earlier, to a woman in a hotel room. And the moment Phillip Markoff realized just how much he could get away with. In 2007, Tricia Leffler decided she needed a change. Back home in Las Vegas, law enforcement had started cracking down harder on prostitution. So instead of staying in one place, Tricia, who was an escort, decided she would start traveling city to city and work that way.
Well, that sounds dangerous.
She knew which cities made money, which hotels were safer, and how to read people quickly. Because women in that industry learn very fast that instincts can be the difference between getting through the night safely or not. By April of 2009, Trisha had made her way to Boston and booked a hotel room at the Westin Copley Place Hotel in the Back Bay area. She posted ads in Craigslist's erotic section, offering massage services. And according to Trisha, business picked up almost immediately. One caller sounded young and polite, and he claimed he was a college student, and he booked an appointment for an hour. Trisha quoted him $200. He agreed, and about 30 minutes later, he called again from the hotel lobby saying that he just got there. Now, Trisha wasn't reckless. She'd been an escort for a few years now. And like many women working as escorts, she had some safety systems in place. One of her rules was that she never would give the room number to the guy. Instead, she'd tell clients the floor she was on. She'd wait for them to come upstairs, and then she'd look at them first before she decided if she was comfortable letting them into the room. So when the elevator doors opened and this young man stepped out, Trisha studied him carefully. And honestly, he didn't set off any alarm bells. He was tall, blonde, athletic, clean cut, kind of handsome. The type of guy who looked more like somebody's boyfriend than a typical John. She felt relatively at ease, so Trisha led him toward her room.
I wonder what the typical trick looks like.
I don't know. I mean...
Does she think they may be less attractive and appear more desperate?
Maybe. I mean, he looks like...
I thought that there was no particular look to people. I thought just some people, that's just their thing.
I mean, if you look up Phillip Markoff's face, if you look him up on your phone, you'll see like a young college kid. He just doesn't look... He looks like how they say like an all-American kid. Like, that's what he looks like an all-American boy.
Yeah, see, I wouldn't put... anybody could... I don't know. I don't put anything past anyone.
That's true. I mean, listen, but she immediately, I guess, with the type of men she typically deals with, she saw him and she wasn't threatened.
Because I do know young men that have frequented massage parlors. And they looked regular, young, just regular people.
Yeah.
Just like this.
Well, she felt at ease. So Trisha led him toward her room. She unlocked the door, she allowed him to walk in first, then she came in behind him and turned around and locked the door. When she turned around, she found herself staring down the barrel of a gun.
Oh, he didn't waste any time.
And just like that, everything changed. The man calmly ordered her onto the floor and told her to put her hands behind her back. And according to Trisha, he wasn't screaming or acting frantic. If anything, his composure made the situation even scarier.
He's a pro.
It felt practiced. Once Trisha was restrained with zip ties, the man slipped on leather gloves and started going through her belongings. He pulled out around $800 in cash, along with her debit and credit cards. And at one point, he demanded the PIN number for her debit card. And with all the adrenaline flooding her body, Trisha later admitted she just blurted it out without even thinking. The man coldly told her it better be the correct number, or there would be a problem later. That line terrified her because it implied there would be a later.
Because there already is a problem.
Yeah.
So if this isn't a problem to him,
exactly,
what the hell could it be?
Then Trisha realized her ID was inside the wallet he had taken, and she begged him to leave it behind so she could get home. The man studied it for a moment before eventually tossing it to the side, and then a bunch of other items he didn't want out of her purse. Trisha asked if he would leave one of the prepaid cards behind so that a friend could load money onto it for her and she could get home.
She should be a hostage negotiator. She's pretty good at this.
True. But eventually he tossed one of the cards down as well. The entire interaction felt calculated. Like he was constantly evaluating her while making sure he stayed in control of every second. At one point, he picked up her cell phone and started going through it. But to use the touch screen, he had to take off his gloves. And Trisha watched closely as he deleted his number from her call log before removing the battery from the phone and tossing it behind the entertainment center.
He's dumb. Don't he know that you could just call up and get your call records?
Also, doesn't he know that he took off his gloves and now his fingerprints are all over her phone?
Yeah, he should have used like his knuckle or something. But I want him to be stupid.
The situation escalated again. The man pulled out what Trisha later described as a butcher knife and used it to cut the hotel phone lines inside the room. At that point, it became horrifyingly clear this wasn't impulsive. He came prepared. The gun, the restraints, the gloves, the duct tape, the knife, nothing about it felt sloppy or spontaneous. As he moved around the room, he spotted a pair of Trisha's underwear on the floor, and he picked them up and stuffed them into his pocket. Then he ordered Trisha into the bathroom. He bound her wrists to the doorknob using another zip tie, and then he put duct tape over her mouth. But he had to remove his gloves again to get the duct tape off because the duct tape kept sticking to his gloves.
More fingerprint.
Afterward, he disappeared back into the main room where Trisha could hear him moving around and going through all of her stuff. Later, she realized that he had stolen another pair of underwear before leaving.
This dude's weird.
Yeah. And honestly, this is where the situation started feeling less like a robbery and more like something darker and weirder. The longer he stayed, the calmer and more methodical he became.
He would have left if it was a robbery.
Exactly.
Just would have got what you wanted.
The longer he stayed, the calmer and more methodical he became. It felt like she was trapped inside of some fantasy that he had rehearsed long before he came into that room. Before leaving, the man checked her restraints one last time, and he told her he'd anonymously call hotel security in about 15 minutes so someone would come and help her. And then he left. But Trisha didn't believe him. The second she thought enough time had passed, she fought against the zip ties, and she managed to get free from them.
Fuck yeah.
She ripped the duct tape from her mouth, and she listened at the hotel room door. Everything seemed quiet. Slowly, she cracked the door open and checked in the hallway, terrified that he might still be nearby.
Yeah, I'm a little anxious. I thought like it's a trick.
Nah, he was gone. So Trisha sprinted back inside long enough to grab her room key before running to the next door neighbor's hotel room and pounded on the door for help. They called security, and then when police arrived, Trisha told them everything.
Wow, I thought she was a goner, man.
Yeah. At first, officers didn't immediately realize she was a sex worker.
Who cares? You still shouldn't do it to people.
But eventually, she explained why she was in Boston and how the man came through Craigslist. And it took a little bit of courage for her to report the crime because prostitution is illegal in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
And Trisha later explained that the man who attacked her seemed way too confident, almost like he believed women in her position would never go to police. Like they're easy targets.
Yeah, because they'd be too scared to say what they do.
Exactly, because they could get arrested themselves.
But if you just tell a cop, hey, I'm a prostitute, I don't think they could arrest you. You have to like be caught in that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you do. But it's kind of like when people rob drug dealers, right? You're doing something illegal already, so it's an easy target.
No, I get it, because a lot of people live in the shadows.
Crime scene technicians lifted fingerprints from the duct tape and the zip ties. And detectives also recovered surveillance footage from inside the hotel, finally giving them a clear image of the suspect. And what disturbed investigators most is how normal he looked. He wasn't hiding his face or rushing through the building, walking really fast. He just calmly walked through the hotel lobby like he belonged there.
Acting as if he's allowed to do this. So there's obviously, he's nuts. Because he's not even hiding his face, knowing he's committing these crimes.
He just casually walked, looking at his BlackBerry as if nothing had just happened. The surveillance images matched Trisha's description perfectly. Tall, blonde, athletic build, Yankees cap. But despite the clear
Damn, Yankees cap? Get that back.
But despite the clear footage and fingerprints, police immediately ran into a major problem. Nobody knew who he was. His prints weren't connected to any criminal database.
Wow.
No prior arrests, no mugshot, nothing. And while detectives scrambled to identify the man from the surveillance footage, another woman was arriving in Boston. A 25-year-old aspiring model from New York named Jalissa Brisman. And unlike Trisha, Jalissa would never make it out of the hotel room alive. Jalissa had lived a lot of life for only being 25 years old. She grew up in Manhattan with her mother, Carmen, after her parents split when she was still a baby. Her parents had both immigrated from the Dominican Republic, and despite their separation, Jalissa stayed close with both of them growing up. And by most accounts, her childhood was normal. Dance lessons, ice skating, horseback riding.
Damn, that ain't typical for me.
That ain't typical.
Once you get on a horse, you in a different class of whatever.
I agree.
We don't call that typical.
That's true. I agree. When I first read that, I was like, well, that's not typical for a Manhattan kid. You know what I mean?
No, you have to. Maybe like in somewhere else, riding horses ain't a big deal. But if you're in Manhattan and you're riding horses, you're seeking that out and you got the means. Or maybe not. Maybe she was in a program.
But maybe she just didn't grow up broke.
That's true, too. I grew up...
Maybe she didn't grow up poor.
So bad.
But by her early 20s, life had become a little more chaotic. Jalissa struggled with alcoholism badly enough that she was eventually hospitalized.
Damn.
Looking back at her old MySpace page now feels like opening a time capsule from the mid-2000s. Fashion shows.
Top eights.
Broadway musicals, shopping, nights out. Her little dog, Coco Chanel, who she jokingly called the man of my life. It's funny and youthful and honestly kind of heartbreaking now because she sounds like so many people in their 20s back then trying to reinvent themselves while pretending they already had their whole life figured out. But one thing that's important about Jalissa's story is that she was trying to turn things around. In 2008, she got sober and she started rebuilding her life. She focused more seriously on modeling and began training to become an addiction counselor at the City College in New York because she wanted to help women struggling with alcoholism the same way she had. Like a lot of people in their 20s, though, especially in expensive cities like New York, Jalissa was still trying to survive financially while chasing bigger goals. So she worked retail jobs, she bartended, she waitressed. Eventually, she started making money through Craigslist. And at first, she traveled to parties where wealthy men hired attractive women to serve drinks in bikinis, lingerie, or sometimes topless. Friends said Jalissa insisted she never slept with clients and thought the idea was gross. But eventually, she began advertising what she described as sensual massage services through Craigslist erotic section, often taking the train to Boston to meet with regular clients. And by April of 2009, Jalissa had developed some safety systems of her own. One of them involved a friend and coworker who later used the pseudonym Mary Beth. So when clients responded to Jalissa's ads on Craigslist, they communicated with Mary Beth, thinking they were talking to Jalissa, but they weren't. They were talking to her friend.
So that's like her pimp.
So no, it was just her friend. It wasn't a pimp. It was a good friend of hers who screened the calls and emails.
So she was screening the penises.
Yeah. Stop. And she collected phone numbers and acted as like an extra layer between Jalissa and the men she would meet. So if a client arrived at the hotel, they were instructed to call first. Mary Beth would be the person who answered the phone call, and then she would text Jalissa, letting her know that the person's there and they seem normal. And after the appointments ended, Jalissa would text her friend Mary Beth confirming that she was safe and the man was gone. But sometimes, all it takes is one person who has already decided that the rules don't apply to him. The communication between Jalissa and, quote, Andy started through email. Investigators would later recover the messages after Jalissa's murder, and reading through them now is eerie because the exchange feels super ordinary. Just two people arranging a meeting. Nothing threatening, nothing dramatic, no obvious warning signs. The email attached to Jalissa's Craigslist ad automatically responded to clients from an account called Massages by Morgan Boston at yahoo.com.
Well, this guy knew just not to be weird in the emails.
Yeah. Andy used the email address amdpm@live.com. And over the next day, they casually finalized a late night appointment for April 14th at the Marriott. And while those emails were being exchanged, Boston police were still desperately trying to identify the tall, blonde man from the Weston surveillance footage. So this is all happening simultaneously, okay? The whole thing with Trisha happened. Cops are trying to find this guy, and he's setting up this appointment with Jalissa. Detectives were reviewing security footage, processing fingerprints, and chasing every lead they could think of. But they still had no name. At 9:41 p.m., the night of the appointment, Mary Beth received a phone call from, quote, Andy, saying he had arrived a little early. Following their normal routine, she told him to wait until 10 before going upstairs. She then texted Jalissa to let her know that her client had arrived.
I guess that's good that she has her friend doing it, so like that she'll kind of have a like she just can't disappear.
Exactly.
Like if she's gone for a week, like one of those where no one would know, her friend will know if she's been gone 5 hours.
Exactly. Yes. And so I think it is good to have her friend involved, and it's like an extra layer of safety.
Yeah.
But that message would be one of the last texts Jalissa ever received. What investigators believe happened next was pieced together through the crime scene itself. At some point after entering the room, the man pulled a gun on Jalissa and attempted to restrain her with zip ties, just like he had done to Trisha days earlier. But the difference is, Jalissa fought back.
We from New York.
And this part is devastating because Jalissa was tiny. She was barely 100 pounds, but investigators said she fought hard enough to scratch the attacker so deeply enough that skin from his body was later found underneath all of her fingernails. That detail matters because it tells you exactly how terrified she must have been.
She was fighting for her life.
She was. This wasn't somebody freezing in fear.
Yeah, she knew.
She was fighting for her life. Investigators believe the struggle escalated quickly. The attacker struck Jalissa in the head with the butt of the gun, hard enough to knock her down before shooting her 3 times. Twice in the chest and once in the abdomen. The hotel guests down the hallway heard like a disturbance and then a scream. When she opened the door, she saw Jalissa partially collapsed in the doorway of the room.
Damn.
Like she was trying to get out.
Yeah.
Hotel security was called immediately. When the security guard arrived, Jalissa was lying on the floor with her hair covering her face. As he moved it back, he saw an enormous amount of blood, and he radioed for the paramedics. Somehow, unbelievably, Jalissa was still alive. She was rushed to the Boston Medical Center, but less than an hour later, 25-year-old Jalissa Brisman was pronounced dead. Back in New York, her mother Carmen received the phone call every parent fears the most. Her daughter had been murdered in Boston. And adding to another cruel layer to the tragedy, Jalissa's 26th birthday was only a week away. The murder changed everything instantly. Up until that moment, investigators believed they were dealing with an armed robber, targeting women through Craigslist ads. But now the stakes were completely different. The man they had been hunting had escalated from robbery to murder in a matter of days.
You know, he might have did the same thing he did to the previous girl, but she fought back. So maybe he didn't plan on killing her.
Yeah. I mean, that's
it's a possibility, but he still did it.
Exactly.
You know.
Somewhere in Boston, the man from the surveillance footage was still just walking around freely. attending classes, talking to his fiancée, moving through the city like absolutely nothing had happened.
Did he forget that there are surveillance cameras in hotels? Did he not know? Did he want to get caught?
I don't know if we'll ever know the answer to that.
So, yeah, because like he's not an idiot. Like he goes to school, so he has some education. So his brain works.
Yeah, exactly. I know.
He was just chilling and killing.
The morning after Jalissa was murdered, police contacted Trisha Leffler and asked her to come back for another interview. Investigators showed her a photograph, and immediately she recognized the man in it because it was a photograph of the surveillance footage from the other hotel.
Oh, so it's like, yep, same guy.
She even commented on how clear the image was, assuming that it had come from the Weston surveillance footage connected to her case. Detectives asked her a simple question first. Is this him? Trisha said yes. Same man, same clothes, same face. Then she asked where the photograph had been taken. And that's when they told her it wasn't from the hotel she was in. It had been taken at another hotel the night before, after he murdered a woman.
Wow.
And you can only imagine what the realization must have felt like. Up until then, as terrifying as the attack had been, part of Trisha still believed she survived a robbery. But suddenly, every detail from that night started looking different in hindsight. She could have easily been murdered too.
That's one of those that like make you look at life like, wow, like I really could have just not been here anymore.
Trisha later admitted she never truly believed he was going to kill her during the attack because he wasn't acting crazed or emotional. She actually described him as like strangely polite, which somehow makes the whole thing more disturbing.
Like he was just going about his business.
Exactly. Now police knew they weren't hunting a robber anymore. They were hunting a killer. And the city was starting to realize it too. As surveillance images from the hotels were released publicly, people became fixated on the man reporters had started calling the Craigslist Killer. What disturbed people most wasn't just what investigators believed he had done. It was how ordinary he looked doing it. In the footage, he isn't running. He isn't hiding his face. He's just walking through these nice hotel lobbies, looking like someone headed to a business meeting, checking his BlackBerry while investigators believed he'd either just attacked or was about to attack women inside those buildings. And with the Boston Marathon only days away, pressure was on the investigators because tens of thousands of tourists, runners, and families were about to flood into the city, while detectives feared the man in the surveillance footage could strike again at any moment. It's like a cat and mouse situation here.
And there wasn't much time in between him doing this, so they were thinking he could be doing it
right now.
Yeah,
exactly.
Wait, how much time was it in between?
It was only like a couple days.
Shit.
Yeah. So while police flooded Boston searching for him, he quietly moved somewhere else. About 60 miles away in Warwick, Rhode Island, another woman unknowingly invited him to her hotel room. The woman, later identified publicly as Cynthia Melton, though she's also referred to as Amber in interviews, was an exotic dancer from Las Vegas who had traveled to Rhode Island with her husband while working at a club in Providence called the Cadillac Lounge. Like Trisha and Jalissa, Amber also used Craigslist to advertise private meetings with clients during downtime between shifts at the club.
So basically, her husband was her pimp. Because
basically,
that's what's going on.
In her case, she offered private lap dances from the hotel room. And unlike some of the other women, Amber had a man there, right there.
Watching.
As her security.
That's crazy.
He didn't watch it. He was in the hotel. So whenever she would meet with a client, he would wait downstairs in the lobby while the appointment was happening.
Oh, I thought you were saying they were in the same room.
No, they weren't in the same room, but he was right there. I mean, he knew about each appointment. He knew about the client. He would go downstairs. They would come. Then when they were done, he would go back up to the room.
That's a pimp.
Yeah. Once Amber felt comfortable, she'd call and let him know everything was okay. And after the meeting ended, she'd call again so he could come upstairs. But on April 16th, Amber agreed to meet a new client. And just like before, the man looked normal. Tall, blonde, young, Yankees cap pulled low over his face. And at first, Amber didn't get particularly bad vibes from him. But the second he stepped inside the room, he pulled out his gun. And the tone shifted. According to Amber, this time the attacker actually seemed more nervous than before. His hands were shaking as he demanded money and credit cards, insisting he was broke and he didn't want to kill her.
He's acting different now because he has killed.
Exactly. Which is interesting because by this point, his face was already all over the news. Jalissa Brisbane had been murdered. Police were actively hunting him. And yet, he was attacking another woman anyway. Amber immediately told him he could take whatever he wanted. Just like before, the man restrained her hands behind her back with zip ties, attempted to force a ball gag into her mouth, but Amber fought him hard enough that he eventually gave up trying to force it in. And then something happened that completely disrupted his control over the situation. Downstairs in the lobby, Amber's husband started getting worried because she hadn't called yet. He headed upstairs and he kept calling her cell phone on the way. And inside the room, he heard the cell phone ringing.
Wow.
And he demanded to know who's calling. And Amber said, "It's my husband." Moments later, Amber's husband unlocked the hotel room door with his key card.
He's going to get shot.
And he walked directly into the middle of the robbery. Standing there facing him was a man holding a gun, so Amber's husband immediately stumbled back into the hallway and ran away.
What a bitch! Oh my God. Well, I don't know. It's like what? It's your body's instinct to survive, but you can't be a pimp and a bitch.
Listen, other podcasts talk about this case, and when people say, "Oh, he ran away," no one reacts the way I react because every time I'm like, "He ran away," whereas everybody else just like casually says he ran away.
Well, there's two ways to look at it because he could run away and go get help.
Yeah.
And if he charges, he could get shot.
I know. I get it. But my first initial instinct is, damn, he ran away.
Yeah, I don't know. Or at least talk shit from the hallway. Come out here, bitch.
I know.
You turn this corner, I'm going to fuck you up. I don't know. Like, and as you're running away, bang on every door you pass. Let everybody come in the hallway. He can't get all of you.
Yeah, true.
Like, there are some strategies there, but I would have been dead.
Yeah, I think knowing you as my husband,
in charge,
you would have been dead. Yeah, you would have charged him.
But then I don't know if I would have thought about it smartly at the time. Like, this building is full. He's not. You
don't think when you're mad. You don't think about the smart decision when you're mad. When you're mad, you're very reactionary.
Well, yeah, but I'm not a violent person.
No, you're not a violent person. But when you're mad and you see me tied up with somebody holding a gun,
I would have been like, listen, keep the ball gag in her mouth. She don't shut the fuck up. I get it.
Shut up. So he ran away. But instead of shooting him, the attacker bolted from the room, sprinted down the hallway in the other direction, and disappeared into the stairwell.
So it worked.
So it did work.
See, sometimes you just gotta be a bitch.
But once again, he escaped. And once again, investigators recovered surveillance footage showing the same eerie pattern. By this point, investigators across Massachusetts and Rhode Island were working almost nonstop trying to identify the man in the surveillance footage before he struck again. Detectives had images from multiple hotels now. They knew his build, his general age range, his patterns, but they still didn't know who he was. And that made this entire thing feel so unnerving. This wasn't somebody hiding deep in the shadows. He was moving confidently through public places, leaving behind victims, surveillance footage, fingerprints, witnesses, and still remained unidentified. But behind the scenes, they were finally starting to get closer than he realized. One of the biggest breaks in the case came through Jalissa's friend, the coworker, Mary Beth. After Jalissa stopped responding the night of her appointment, Mary Beth became really worried. And around 11 p.m., she started asking Jalissa if she was okay. She was texting her. And then again around midnight, she texted her again. And then early in the morning, there was still nothing. So by 7:10 a.m., Mary Beth finally contacted the Marriott directly and was transferred to the Boston police. And that's when she learned Jalissa had been murdered. Almost immediately, she gave investigators something incredibly important: the emails. Mary Beth explained how she helped screen Jalissa's appointments and still had access to the communication between the clients scheduled for Jalissa's stay in Boston. And she gave detectives the password to Jalissa's Yahoo account and pointed them to the client who was scheduled for that night at 10 p.m., the night of the murder, the man calling himself Andy. Investigators started combing through email exchanges carefully, and they read like painfully ordinary scheduling conversations. Times, availability, logistics. But hidden inside those emails was the first real trail leading back to the man police had been chasing through the hotel surveillance footage for days. Because every email leaves behind something people don't think about.
The IP address?
IP addresses.
Mm-hmm.
So investigators traced the IP connected to Andy's email back to an internet provider in Boston.
And this is why you need a VPN, folks.
From there, they traced the subscriber information connected to the account. And suddenly, after days of hunting a faceless suspect, detectives finally had a name.
Wow.
Phillip Markoff. The IP address led investigators to an apartment complex at 8 High Point Circle in Quincy, Massachusetts.
We should call him Phillip Jerkoff instead of Markoff.
Yeah.
The rest of the episode, he's Phillip Jerkoff.
Okay.
In New York, if you're doing something, like, stop being a fucking jerk-off.
Yeah, it's true.
Or they'll talk about a guy, like, nah, he's a jerk-off.
That's so true.
I don't know if that phrase is used other places.
I think so, but in New York, it's definitely used a lot. So detectives immediately set up surveillance around his building, watching exits and waiting to see whether the man living there matched the person they'd been seeing on hotel security footage. At the same time, investigators started digging into who Phillip Jerkoff actually was.
Good job.
And the deeper they looked, the stranger this case became. Because Phillip wasn't a drifter or someone barely surviving on the margins of society the way people often expect violent offenders to be. He was a second-year medical student at Boston University's School of Medicine.
Oh, shit.
He was intelligent, accomplished, engaged to be married, a man with no criminal history, and what appeared to be an incredibly promising future. And that discovery almost made investigators more uneasy. Because now they weren't looking for a violent criminal. They were potentially looking at someone capable of compartmentalizing his life so completely that he could attend medical school during the day and then hunt women through Craigslist at night. So detectives waited. And on Sunday, April 19th, they finally saw him. A tall, blonde man in his 20s exited the apartment building with a woman by his side. And just like before, the contrast between the ordinary scene unfolding in front of them and the violence connected to this case felt surreal. The couple just looked like they were heading out of town for the weekend. But before police moved in, investigators needed one final confirmation. So detectives contacted Tricia Leffler again. But there was only one problem. She had already left Boston.
Why didn't they just arrest him?
They wanted to confirm his identity.
They got a crystal clear video that was complimented.
Well, they needed her to ID him.
These guys are jerk-offs.
So after everything that happened, Tricia wanted out of the city. By the time investigators reached her, she was already in New York City. But police knew they needed her help to positively ID Phillip Markoff and make sure
Jerk-off.
Phillip Jerkoff, and make sure he was really the man from the hotel. So Boston detectives coordinated with the NYPD, and an investigator rushed to Trisha's hotel room carrying a photo lineup that included Phillip Markoff's Boston that included Phillip Jerkoff's Boston University student ID photo. Trisha sat down, flipped through the photographs one by one, and then she stopped and immediately said, "That's him." The fifth photograph in the lineup was Phillip Jerkoff. Just like that, investigators finally confirmed that the polished medical student was the man they'd been hunting. As Phillip and Megan drove down I-95 toward Connecticut, police vehicles surrounded their car and conducted the traffic stop that we opened this story with. Investigators later said the couple claimed they were heading to Foxwoods Casino. Megan was frantic, confused, asking questions, trying to understand what was happening. They had been together for years at this point.
Wow.
Phillip stayed mostly silent. And investigators also noticed he had scratches on his body when he was taken into custody. Scratches that stood out, considering detectives already knew Jalissa Brisbane fought hard enough to leave skin beneath her fingernails. Once investigators informed Phillip that he was under arrest for kidnapping, armed robbery, and murder, he finally spoke up to request a lawyer. Meanwhile, Megan's entire world was collapsing in real time. Police brought both of them back to Boston, but investigators quickly realized that Megan was not involved at all because she was so shocked, and so they released her. Before she left, though, detectives told her exactly why Phillip wasn't going home.
Wow, because I thought they might leave her just like...
No, they told her
That's
he was
good.
Accused of murder.
Because that'd be messed up.
And according to reports, Megan broke down crying hysterically. This was a woman planning a wedding and building a future with someone police are now saying he had a secret life entirely separate from hers.
Imagine, she thinks he's going to graduate medical school. She's going to graduate whatever. She's
in medical school too.
Oh, so they're going to both be rich they're going to be very well off together, live their lives as doctors.
They'd been together for a few years.
Wow.
Like, she had no idea. Okay. Even after sitting through lengthy interviews and seeing surveillance images from the hotels, Megan continued insisting Phillip had to be innocent.
You're loyal.
She's loyal.
Ride or die.
This girl is loyal, I have to say.
That's not him.
Well, Megan tried desperately to reconcile the man she thought she knew with the man investigators were describing. And she didn't believe it. She really didn't. And she kept saying he's innocent, and she stood by him.
Well, just give her a pair of glasses so she can see the video clearer. Sometimes people need readers younger than they thought they would need them.
It's true. But police ended up getting a search warrant for Phillip and Megan's apartment because they lived together at this point. And they uncovered evidence that would destroy the carefully constructed image that he spent years building. What investigators found inside Phillip's apartment was overwhelming because up until this point, there was still this strange disconnect in this case. This clean-cut guy, with a fiancée. They thought he was a little awkward.
Just didn't add up
but
so
harmless.
Far. Yeah.
But on the other side, he is this violent attacker. Once detectives start searching the apartment, those two versions of Phillip collided. They found plastic zip ties matching the restraints from all three victims. They found a 9mm handgun in a copy of the medical textbook Grey's Anatomy. So Grey's Anatomy is a medical textbook.
I thought that was just a show.
No, it's named after this medical textbook.
Oh.
He cut out the middle of it and hid the gun inside and put the book on a shelf.
Dang, that's a good spot.
That's crazy, right? Police also recovered burner phones, cash, and a secret life that Phillip had apparently been operating in private. One of the most disturbing things they found was inside of the box spring beneath the bed that he shared with Megan, there were women's underwear hidden inside of socks.
Oh, shit.
So he took the women's underwear from the robberies and the murder.
Yeah.
He hid them in socks and then hid the socks inside of the box spring. So it's like he kept them as trophies.
Yeah, because remember he took the underwear when he left one of the other ladies' places.
Yeah, so he took underwear from all the different hotel rooms with these women. The investigators searched Phillip's laptop, and there it was, emails from Andy, quote unquote. The same messages used to arrange Jalissa Brisman's final appointment. At this point, the evidence was piling up quickly. And detectives learned that when he purchased the handgun months earlier in New Hampshire, he used a fake ID belonging to a man named Andrew Miller. So that's where he got the name Andy.
Got it.
Only Andrew Miller had nothing to do with any of this. He lost his ID before the crimes, and he was later completely cleared by investigators.
That's crazy, because I feel like most people in their life have lost a wallet.
Yeah.
And what is someone doing with your ID right now?
Yeah, it's crazy.
If you're a woman and you lost it, there's definitely young girls using it to get in bars.
Definitely.
But
yeah. I had a fake ID from a girl who lost her ID.
You found it?
Yeah, her name was Shira.
Yeah, it was a federal offense. Shira, like
Shira.
He-Man's Shira?
Yeah, my friend found it actually and gave it to me.
You're going to jail.
Yeah, it was years ago. Mm-hmm.
Well, what is it? Statute of limitations?
Yeah, I think so.
Nope. Book her, Dano.
So the leather shoes that Phillip was wearing when he was arrested had blood spatter on them that matched Jalissa Brisman. His fingerprints matched the prints that were lifted from the duct tape and the restraints that were used on Trisha. And the ballistics confirmed that the gun hidden inside the Grey's Anatomy textbook was the weapon used in Jalissa's murder. Surveillance footage also showed Phillip purchasing supplies connected to the crimes, like duct tape, zip ties, and the Yankees hat.
See, that's bullshit. We don't claim him.
And the deeper investigators dug, the harder it became to understand how someone living such an outwardly successful life had been carrying around this entirely separate identity this whole time. Because now police weren't just uncovering evidence of violent crimes. They were uncovering evidence of compartmentalization on a terrifying scale. Who was Phillip Jerkoff really? Because the image being presented to the public felt impossible to reconcile. And that's why his poor fiancée couldn't believe it. She was so shocked. Phillip grew up in a small town in upstate New York called Sherrill. It was about 35 miles east of Syracuse. His parents divorced when he was young, and after the split, his father took Phillip's older brother while Phillip stayed with his mother. But that's like the only kind of traumatic thing that happened to him. A divorce, and then his parents didn't get along, and he lived with his mom, and his brother lived with his dad.
Sounds like a regular childhood for everyone. I do not want to hear that shit.
No, like nothing major happened to him as a kid.
He just was alive, going through life, and that's part of life. It's just something, you don't prefer it to happen, but you can be fine.
Exactly. He played golf. And he bowled in high school.
He's just a jerk off.
He participated in youth court and mostly kept to a small group of friends. He was kind of nerdy. He was interested in science and computers. People described him as quiet, very intelligent, a little socially awkward at times, but nothing threatening. Phillip excelled academically. He graduated from SUNY Albany early with honors in biology, and he became active in a pre-med fraternity while he was there. And friends later described him as somebody who could be funny and charming in certain situations, but deeply awkward in other situations. There was one woman named Morgan who later said there was an incident after a night of drinking that made her feel really weird about Phillip. So they were walking home together one night, and he allegedly shoved her against the wall and aggressively tried to kiss her. And she kept saying, no, stop. We're just friends, and pushed him off of her, and he wouldn't stop. He pinned her against the wall. And according to Morgan, he only stopped after another male friend of theirs physically got between them and pushed him off.
So it could have been real bad then. It wasn't just like a...
Yeah. At the time, she kind of brushed it off as him just being drunk and acting weird, so she never reported it. But afterwards, moments like that kind of feel unsettling once you see what he turned into.
And you know what? It's kind of the same thing that he would do that in front of people and not care, the same way he's doing it on camera, knowing everyone's there and not caring.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same.
Yeah, that's true.
You didn't think of that.
I didn't think of that.
Russ the profiler.
Meanwhile, Phillip's relationship with Megan McAllister appeared outwardly super stable and serious. They met while they were volunteering at an emergency room during college. They became engaged in 2007. They both planned these careers in medicine, and they seemed like one of those ambitious young couples. Their entire future was mapped out ahead of them. To everyone around them, they looked normal and like they had everything going for them. But investigators increasingly started seeing signs that Phillip had these compulsions living inside of him for years. Friends said that he enjoyed gambling a lot, and he frequently played blackjack and poker, but it really wasn't just something he enjoyed. It turned into a full-blown addiction.
Maybe the thrills.
In a matter of a couple months, he had gone to Foxwoods 19 times and lost thousands of dollars.
Hey, man, to each their own.
True.
I ain't throwing no stones.
I mean, I get it, but it just shows that he had a little bit of a gambling addiction. Investigators also uncovered Craigslist and AOL Instant Messenger exchanges linked to an account using the name Sex Addict 5385. In the messages, Phillip was engaging in explicit conversations and started exchanging sexual photographs with men that he met online. Investigators and reporters also uncovered anonymous exchanges Phillip had on BDSM and fetish websites where he discussed domination, restraint, and violent sexual fantasies.
Wow.
So, all of these things separately, a gambling addiction, exchanging photographs and sexually explicit messages with people online, men online. This just shows that there was a lot under the surface that people didn't realize about Phillip.
True, it shows that he was hiding stuff, but none of that stuff to me is that bad.
I mean, yeah, it's not bad, but it just shows that he's living this duality.
Yes.
And he has this fiancée who he's outwardly showing that he loves so much, secretly having this whole other thing hidden behind her back. These sexual fantasies, exchanging photographs with men online. He was clearly confused about his sexuality. There was just a lot under the surface.
Yeah, once you started killing and stuff, why are you still going to pretend with her? Because you're eventually going to get caught anyway. Why string the girl along?
I know.
Just go out there and do your stuff. Well, don't do it, but you know what I mean.
But the thing that lingers over this case more than anything else wasn't just the violence, but it was the performance. The terrifying ability of some people to divide themselves into separate realities and somehow keep all of them running at once. A medical student studying anatomy during the day while stalking women online at night. A fiancé planning a wedding while hiding weapons, fake IDs, trophies, murdering women. I mean, it's just a lot at once. And eventually the pressure of those separate lives crashing into each other became impossible to contain. After his arrest, Phillip was arraigned in court on April 21st, 2009. And even then, standing there facing kidnapping, armed robbery, and murder charges, he still looked more like somebody headed to a job interview than the man investigators believed had terrorized women in multiple states. But behind the scenes, things were starting to unravel psychologically. While being transported to jail after his arraignment, Phillip reportedly stuffed toilet paper down the back of his pants and told detectives that he might need it later. Hours afterward, he attempted to hang himself inside of his jail cell using shoelaces tied to the bars. It would not be his last suicide attempt. After being evaluated by a psychiatrist, Phillip was placed under suicide watch in the jail infirmary. And during one jail visit, his older brother Jonathan later said that Phillip made the statement to him, quote, "Forget about me, move to California. There's a lot more coming out."
Wow. I was wondering too. I was waiting before I said anything. Like, this can't be the only ones that happened.
Yeah.
Because he had a lot. He had burner phones. Like, he was really in it.
Yeah. In statements released publicly after his arrest, Megan described Phillip as a beautiful man inside and out. She's still by his side at this point.
Wow.
And she insisted that he had been set up. She acknowledged the suffering of the victims and their families while still saying that Phillip Markoff being portrayed publicly did not match the person she knew that she knew.
See, Jess, I'm going to let you finish. But she is the greatest fiancée of all time. She didn't even say her vows yet. Through thick and thin.
Sickness and health.
Sickness and health, through murder till death do us part.
Yeah. No, she
is the great. You women can't shine her shoes.
Yeah, she really stood by him for real.
I mean, I would never do any of that, so I don't need you to stick by me through that. But I would like to think that, you could tell some lies for me.
For a while, she kept trying to hold on to those two realities. But eventually, the weight of the evidence became impossible to ignore. They had surveillance footage, fingerprints, but the DNA evidence is what really sealed the deal. This case against Phillip was overwhelming. They had a slam dunk case. Even then, though, family publicly stated that she still believed he was innocent. But over time, the visits became less frequent, the distance between them grew larger, and by June of 2009, after appearing before a grand jury, Megan made one final visit to the jail where she told Phillip she would not be going back to Boston, she would probably never see him again, and she was moving back to New Jersey with her parents. Soon afterward, a grand jury formally indicted Phillip Markoff on charges connected to the murder of Jalissa Brisman, as well as the armed robberies and kidnappings of Tricia Leffler and Amber. And while the legal case moved forward publicly, another reality was quietly settling in for everyone involved. There would probably never be an explanation that made this make sense, because the evidence could explain what Phillip Markoff did.
Jerk off.
But it could never explain why he did this.
Yeah.
It could never explain the duality that existed inside of him.
Why he didn't even attempt to cover his tracks whatsoever. The only way he really did it was just hiding his gun in a book.
And before the question could ever be answered in court, Phillip made sure there would never be a trial. For more than a year after his arrest, Phillip Jerkoff sat inside the Suffolk County Jail waiting for a trial that never came. Prosecutors continued building what was already a strong case against him. But Phillip would never make it there. On the morning of August 15, 2010, correctional officers entered Phillip Markoff's jail cell after noticing that he hadn't moved for several hours. And what they found was horrifying. At some point during the night, Phillip had used a makeshift cutting tool. He made it from a pen. He sharpened a piece of a pen, and he slit his wrists, arms, ankles. He cut multiple parts of his legs.
Oh, he knows the exact spots to do because he was pre-med or whatever.
And then his carotid artery. Investigators later determined that he also placed plastic bags around his head so that he could suffocate to death while lying on his bed. And even more disturbingly, he stuffed toilet paper down his throat so that no resuscitation could happen.
This like, he took care of this, covered his tracks more than he covered his tracks ever. Like, he had backup plans here.
Yeah.
But he had no plans to cover his tracks at all.
For the crimes.
For the crime.
I know.
It doesn't add up.
So correction officers attempted CPR, but they couldn't do anything because the paper was so deep in his throat that the resuscitation attempts didn't work. And written on the wall of the jail cell in his own blood were 2 words, Megan, and another word that appeared to say pocket. But investigators, they looked in his pockets thinking maybe he had hid something in there. There was nothing there. And to this day, no one knows what pocket means. Hearing that he committed suicide in such a brutal way and that your name is written in blood on the wall. I mean, that poor girl, honestly.
Okay, you know what I was thinking? It's probably crazy for Megan's new spouse, husband, whatever, to like hear she was part of this.
Yeah.
And, you know, how she went with it.
How loyal she was. I mean, that's honestly, it's very telling that she's a very loyal girl.
That I would say that is her strong point.
Yeah. So there's something deeply unsettling about the fact that in death, Phillip Markoff left behind confusion instead of clarity. One final act that created more questions than answers. Like, what does pocket mean? Making it even sadder, August 15th reportedly fell right around what would have been his 1-year wedding anniversary with Megan. After Phillip's death, Suffolk County District Attorney Daniel Connolly publicly stated that the suicide was the ultimate indicator of consciousness of guilt. But legally, because he died before the trial, the charges against him were dismissed. And that left a massive emotional void for the people who were left behind. Jalissa's family. Jalissa's family never got the chance to confront him in court. They never got to hear the evidence laid out before the jury. Never got a verdict. Never got answers. Jalissa's mother, Carmen, later described Phillip as a coward whose final act robbed the family of justice. So emotionally, nothing about it felt resolved for them.
Well, he did die. He was in jail. It isn't like he was out roaming. It was in process. And we know he did it. We know he was put in jail, and we know he committed suicide. So that was all part of his penalty to me.
Yeah.
But, you know, everyone looks for something. Like, they didn't get to approach him or, you know, that's different.
There was never going to be some neat explanation that tied everything together. No dramatic courtroom confession, no moment where everyone suddenly understood how a promising medical student engaged to be married became the man investigators believe stalked women through Craigslist while secretly living an entirely separate life. Instead, what's left behind are fragments. A woman sitting beside her fiancé on a highway, completely unaware that she didn't truly know him. Hotel surveillance footage of a man calmly walking away from violence. Zip ties, burner phones, fake names, hidden trophies. Women who trusted their instincts enough to survive him. And a haunting reminder that the most dangerous people are not always the loudest or the most visibly broken. Sometimes they're the ones who understand exactly how to look normal. The ones who move through everyday life so convincingly that the people closest to them never see the darkness sitting quietly underneath. Because Phillip Markoff didn't look like the version of evil people expect. And maybe that's exactly why he got away with it for as long as he did. And that's it.
Wow.
That's the case of the Craigslist Killer, a.k.a. Phillip Jerkoff.
Well, how long was he doing this, and like, were there other victims?
So I don't know. No one will ever know. I mean, unless other women come forward.
Unless there's women come forward and there's DNA or fingerprints or video. Because at this point, if someone just said they were robbed by him, but
it's wild to think that he just went from having these, explicit exchanges online talking about sexual fantasies to robbing people and then murdering someone. I mean, to me, it's just like such a big disconnect. There had to be some form of escalation. There had to be other things in between.
Or was it like an adventure for him? Like this is like a thrill because he had gambling addiction.
I definitely think it was a thrill for sure. It had to be like a thrill thing.
And maybe he was just going to do it until he gets caught. And his plan was, when I go to jail, I'll just off myself.
I don't know, man.
Because it was there was just no covering his tracks. That's why I'm thinking that.
Yeah. I mean, these are the type of questions I feel like no one will ever know. You know, you'll never know the answers to these questions. But
I mean, we all get bored, but we don't do shit like that.
No, I mean, it's crazy. This whole case is so wild. But it really is interesting when you think you know somebody so well. I mean, your fiance, you know, I think they had been together for multiple years at that point. So, and they lived together.
Imagine that, ladies or men or whoever's listening.
Yeah.
Like your spouse, you find out that they're out there killing.
So it's interesting because right now there's a documentary on Netflix. I started it yesterday called Should I Marry a Murderer?
Oh, I saw that.
You saw the preview or you watched it?
Oh,
you didn't watch it.
I wouldn't watch it. Why would you even ask that question? I saw the thumbnail. Oh. And I was like, oh, that could be good for the podcast.
So maybe we should watch it for True Crime and Chill because I started it and it's really good.
How long is it?
It's 3 episodes. So that's fine. We've done 3 episodes multiple times. So maybe we should watch it, but it reminded me of this case a little bit. So I'm curious to hear what you guys think of this case. I thought it was totally wild. This whole duality of this person blew my mind. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning back in. Check us out on Instagram at Wife of Crime Pod, Facebook at Wife of Crime The Crime Family, ClutchDefenseCo.com.
Yeah, you gotta get some of that for your family so they can stay alive.
And you gotta protect your neck.
You best protect your neck.
Yep. And Patreon at Wife of Crime Pod. And we'll be back next time for another episode. Talk to you later. Bye.